Hi everybody, and welcome back to my channel. I wanted to do a video on hurricane preparedness because we're in peak time of hurricane season in September, and with everything that's going on in the Bahamas, it had me thinking about what could help me and my family during a time like that. As you may know, hurricane season is from June 1st to November 30th, though there have been some hurricanes that run late into December and January. I also wanted to discuss some stuff that we may not necessarily always think about. Yeah, we usually think about the basics, but these will be some things that you probably would want to keep in mind in case there is a real disaster from a hurricane. I will leave you with a link below with anything that could help you plan and anything that I speak about today. And these are all things we should start planning from December to May. NEMO on their website has a great checklist and a to-do list, and it runs by week from December to May leading up to June, and every week it gives you something that you should do or buy to help you get more prepared for the hurricane season. I will leave that link below. So on top of that, you could also get stuff from me and compare the two and do what you need for your own family. I think it might be good to appoint one person to be in charge of this. Not saying they're the ones to do everything, but what I'm saying to make sure everything on the list get done. So they will delegate tasks like you do this, you did this, cousin do this, mother do grandmother, grandfather do that. And of course, I'm speaking within the context of St. Lucia and our terrain and similar islands and countries with our terrain. 99% of what I say today would probably relate to everybody, but it's really good to keep your geographical area and country in mind because certain things affect persons differently. Before we get started on the basics, I want to talk about your preparation and your evacuation plans. These are things that don't necessarily have to be written down on paper, although writing it down does save a lot of time. And you could always recycle it for the next year, and it's always good to have it on paper so that way there's an easier recall of stuff. But make sure everybody in your household understands the plan and knows what is expected of them before, during, and after a disaster. Your preparation plan should consist of activities leading up to the hurricane season, of things that you and your family should do and should buy. On the NEMO website, you could also find a list of shelters closest to you. Now I'm speaking about the evacuation plan. Your evacuation plan is usually implemented when you can no longer stay at your home, or even just a little before, because sometimes some of us will know ahead of time if our house could shelter us during a storm or not. A shelter doesn't necessarily have to be the first option. You and your friends and your family could decide ahead of time, like, okay, all of us are going to meet at Uncle so-and-so house and we'll bring this person will do that, and these plans should be put in place ahead of time and make provisions for everybody, sleeping arrangements and such forth. So let's start with the basic necessities. Food. Of course, you try to buy a lot of non-perishable items such as canned goods and stuff in packets. Anything that air could get into easily or prone to get stale fast. I would suggest that you vacuum seal it if you can. So here I have my Cricks crackers and some oatmeal that I vacuum seal. You can see how tight it is. You can even see each cracker inside of here. Yeah, if you don't have a vacuum sealer, you have to be fancy smanchy. What you could do is take a Ziploc bag, close it all the way, and just leave a little space. Put whatever it is inside. You could do this on a daily basis to put stuff in your freezer too. I find that's really good. So you close the Ziploc, you leave a little space, you put in a straw, and you suck out all the air from it, and then you just seal it quickly before any more air could come inside, and voila, you have vacuum seal. So in my food store, I have some tuna fish, some sardines, baked beans, rice, some little ramen noodles, you know, coconut milk, because I don't eat cow milk, but yeah, if you get dry milk, not liquid milk, of course. And this is food to use after you've exhausted all your food from your fridge, from your cupboards and stuff like that. And if the power is out, you definitely want to try and eat everything in the fridge first. Water. water, two types of water. You have your drinking water and you have the water for everything else. Your drinking water, I would suggest buying it 48 hours in advance. That should be the last thing you buy, just because I don't like keeping plastic water bottles stored in a house, especially in this heat. I'm not trying to do that. So only closer to the time I would stock on water. Your water for everything else, I would suggest doing that ahead of time. You get containers, your jerry cans, whatever. You clean it out properly, bleach them out, and then you fill them with water. But I would suggest every month that a hurricane doesn't pass, or you don't use it, you throw it out, or you use it for something else, whether you go garden with it, or wash dishes, whatever, just so that you could keep a fresh cycle of water and it wouldn't have time, you know, have anything settle in it, you know, make those little worms, I don't know, and the little green moss. Also, bleach is definitely something you want to keep, not necessarily for cleaning, but to purify the water. I'm not sure of the amount of bleach to water. I will try to find it and then I'll put it in the link below, and I'll try to put it on the list of things. But bleach for sure, small bottle of bleach definitely could go a long way. Lights, of course, get lights, especially those with battery operated lights. I got this one last year. I've been using it for everything else. It's a rechargeable one, which I really like. I've only charged it like 3 times in the last year, and that's only because it was getting weak, not like it actually died. So you just charge it, keep it there charging for a few hours, and it lasts for a really long time. It lasts for days, maybe even a few months too, before I charge it for the first time. And it's very long, like the projection of the light is very long, so I use it for a lot of things. See who comes in my home, you know, stuff like that. A transistor radio, you need one of those with the antenna thing, okay, so that in case, of course, any information that citizens need to hear, they hear from your radio. And extra batteries for your lights, of course, and for anything that you use on a regular, for your medical machines, like your blood pressure machines. Do you need any? I don't know for your glucometer if they use batteries, I'm not sure. Yeah, so anything that you may need batteries for on a regular, of course, buy extra batteries. Portable phone chargers, that's a big necessity. Leading up to a power outage, of course, you would charge your phone as much as you can, but it's always good to have a little portable charger, and also extra credit for your phones. Those who do not have postpaid, it's always good to have extra credit. First aid materials and solutions. So I'm going to show you what I've bought so far. I have some gauze, what else, plasters, solution spirits, whatever, things to clean wounds. I have a little respirator mask that I've had for a long time, for about 10 years. I just carry it around with me. It actually smells very new. Yeah, anything that you have that you think might be needed in a time of an emergency. Medications, extra medications, of course, I'll talk about that just now, but painkillers, and also something we forget a lot of the time, allergy medicine. You just buy Puritan. Is it Puritan or Puritan? Puritan, I do not know, but you can just buy them. They're $1 for 10, I think, in the supermarket. Extra medications and your devices. So persons who are diabetic, hypertensive, whatever it is, and you're taking certain medications, it's really good to have an extra supply of them. And also any other devices that you may use, so like a asthma pump, insulin injections, birth control, glasses, your contacts, I do not know, anything that you really think you may need in time. Just think about you not being able to leave your home or leave wherever it is to go get anything for like months on end, and then I'm sure a lot of things will come to you. Gas for your home and for your vehicle. I know a lot of times after disaster, persons with pickup trucks and stuff, they may end up helping persons. So yeah, get some extra gas, get some in the canister, and get an extra tank of gas for your stove. Extra towels and old clothes. The thing is, we underestimate wind. With that wind carrying the water, sometimes it could seep in under your windows, under your doors. So having that extra clothes, towels, whatever there could actually help, and then you'll just know you'll shift it, you drain it out every hour or whatnot. Everybody has a little job they do throughout the whole time during the hurricane. Okay, so let's move on to some things that you may not necessarily think about having, but I think they're very, very important to consider. One, condoms. Yes, blah blah blah, everybody think condom sex whatever, but it's a preventative tool, and not just for infections but also for you little humans, because you don't want to go from one disaster to another. Sorry, I don't mean that. Okay, let me explain. When I was in grade 8, somebody told me after Ivan there was like a surge in births, and then they were saying like people just didn't have nothing to do, and I'm like, what? Like out of boredom you end up having a child? And I'm like, yeah, you know, yeah, you have to take all precautions. And this is like, you know, sometimes these things, I know children are lovely creatures, you know, they're very, you know, loving persons, but yeah, you don't want to make that mistake, and then it's like you have to rebuild from something and you have a whole new mouth to feed, you know, stuff like that. So I'm trying to sound funny or insensitive, but yeah, that's something to consider. Stock up on them condoms. Pack extra clothes and toiletries, and I would suggest having these things in a bag already. I have these big vacuum seal bags. Like you put your things in it, you seal it, and then there's a portion where you take the thing off the vacuum and then it sucks out all the air. I would suggest putting it in that and then having it in a bag already. Also, your first aid material should be in a bag already, so then if anything you could just grab it and go. Ladies, I would say stock up on menstrual items, just specifically for that time, because again, you never know how long you'll be out, even though it's once a month, but you know, you could help out somebody else. You never know how long these disasters will last. Also, consider the needs of your pets. So get extra food for them, extra drinking water, even a bedding area, because I know most pets are outside, so I know most people tend to put their pet inside, and maybe about a day before you probably want to wash the dog if you usually don't wash it. So I would suggest an extra medication for the dog. Yeah, if they take in any kind of medication, I don't know. Boards for your windows. So I haven't seen people do that for a long time. When we were younger, we used to put the tape on the windows, and the ex used to do that. One time we leave it for too long. We left it for too long, and like after the hurricane didn't pass or whatever, left it for how long? Could not take it out later. Months later, the sun had time to heat it and really make it hard or whatever, and that was torture to take that out. But yeah, you could do that to your windows, and you could put the boards on the outside, just fitted boards to check your windows. And again, these are things you're doing over time, so you don't have to feel really burdened with these things. You could actually get wood, pallet wood, for free behind some kind of commercial store and put something together and make it. No excuses. Now I'm going to give some of my tips for during a hurricane, or what to do to prepare ahead of time for a hurricane. Some of these tips are very common, but some of these things are just things I've thought about that I feel like would make us more efficient. Seal important documents. I have my vacuum sealer, so I vacuum seal everything. I haven't vacuum sealed this yet, but all your birth certificate, marriage certificates, all these kind of things in here. And your passports, I'm not going to flip it over, but they're open to the ID page already, so that way once I seal it, I could just show, if I have to show somebody my ID, I could show it to them without having to open up the bag again. And fret not, as long as you have tape, a good solid tape, and you can just tape this together, I'm sure it should work the same way. Extra money. Have extra money, and I would suggest having it in small bills. Our smallest bill is a $5 bill. Yes, I would suggest having some coins too, just in case, because let's say if you need a small tin of milk for your baby, you know, though you shouldn't be drinking that, but anyway, you need this small can of milk, and all you have is a $20 bill, you know, so then you have to exchange that for that when you could have just given the person $5. Clear all low-hanging branches from around your home or your property, and any loose material, any loose items that could just be picked up by the wind and could be hazardous to anybody. In St. Lucia, we're prone to landslides because of our terrain, so I would suggest also reinforcing retention walls. Unplug all appliances, of course, and I would even suggest covering very valuable appliances with something waterproof. And if you have a really hard table, you could put them underneath the table on top of something, of course, so in case something drops on you or something fall, I don't know what happens, something fly through the window, at least they'll be covered. Your clothes during the storm should be very comfortable and not present a hazard to you or anybody around you. So I mean, don't wear any loose fitting clothes, don't wear any heavy material. I would suggest wearing sneakers, and it'll be more comfortable, or hard-toed shoes if you have any of those, and don't wear any jewelry. Also, have activities planned for you and your family outside of using the condoms. It can be a very frustrating situation to be waiting and waiting. You might end up getting restless, so planning activities will be good to ease the minds of especially the younger persons in the household, and it could be a family bonding time. Also, plan how you will communicate with your friends and family during a disaster or post-disaster. Telephone, most people don't use landlines anymore, cellular phones, or sometimes the signal might be down. So I suggest, I don't know, if you have walkie-talkies, like make use of them or try to purchase them. I'm not sure what people use in that time. Or if you say, meet me by here at such time, or I'll come check you here, or we'll all go to this shelter if anything happens, we'll meet up here and stuff like that. This leans on the end of possible death, but I think it's a necessity. Create waterproof tags for all members of your family, and all of it should have the name, the current address, the next of kin, and contacts for that next of kin. During these times, families get separated, and unfortunately people don't see their family again until months later, when they have to identify their body. Sometimes it can make the process easier if they have these tags on them. Try make sure it's not hazardous, like their dog tags, don't do that. But or even bracelets, or even young children could get, even if nobody dies, but young children could get separated from their family and they wouldn't know how to get back where and what. So having those tags might be easier for first responders to link them back up with the family easier and faster. Also, consider updating your wills and your finances. I know a lot of people will be like, wills, like, you know, nobody wants to die during that time, but at the same time it is a life-threatening situation and a lot of people have died. But it's good, your will should be something you update every year anyway. Maybe it should be a little birthday activity, I do not know. But yes, you would want to update your will just before hurricane season, or especially during the peak of hurricane season. And your finances, make sure everything is in order, that you have your savings here, savings there, and whatnot. Everything we spoke about today, I would suggest getting everything prepared 48 hours or 2 days before the hurricane or the storm is expected to make landfall. Have everything in a central place so that everybody has access to it. As I said earlier, make sure that everybody in the family knows every plan and what is expected of them before, during, and after. In traumatic situations, people fall under a lot of stress, and at least them knowing something, some kind of familiarity of the plan, could actually trigger something and help them to move faster or quicker. During that time, family members can get separated, so it's good to pass on that information amongst your family. It's also good to make a post-disaster plan so that everybody knows what's going to happen afterwards, especially if a family leader passes away during the event. So at least they know that we have this and this amount of credit at M&C Home Depot. We could get these, I don't know if they do that, but they could get these pieces of wood for that, and and update your plans every year. Every May, once we do it in the first year, every May should be a time where we update the plans, especially if you have new members of your family or if members of your family have passed over the years. And last but not least, spread the love, spread the information. Talk to your classmates, talk to your workmates. Tell them, hey, this is what my family and I are doing for hurricane preparedness. What you all doing? And then the person might be like, we're not going to do anything. So maybe they could trigger that in their brains to help them to go do whatever. But don't do it in a way like you being like, oh, this is the way me and my family is going to survive. How are your family? Have you all made any plans yet? I don't know what accent that is. I can't do an English accent properly at all. So anyway, I hope this video has helped you and your family to prepare for the hurricane season, and I would also suggest have plans for any potential disaster like an earthquake or anything like that. I will put some useful links in the description of some of the things I spoke about today, and you could check my Facebook and Instagram page at These Views for the full list of all the items I spoke about today and the to-do list. Please subscribe to my channel for more useful content from me. Yes, I don't do it regularly because I'm very busy, but I will try my best. And so yeah, so stay safe and stay dry during this season and keep your intentions pure. Bye bye.